way to make it happen.
It's people.
It's Soylent Green.
It's Soylent Green. Hello there.
Hey guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Riker Maneuver here on Pop Culture Renegades. Today we're talking about episode, I think we're on 5 now.
5. Choose your pain.
Choose Your Pain, which I loved the concept of it.
Yeah. It was very, it's really interesting.
It's very game theory.
Yeah.
So far, I think out of the episodes we've seen, this is my favorite one so far.
I would either say 2 or 5.
2 or 5?
2 or 5. I like 2 a lot.
2 was good just because, you had the...
Yeah, and that's why I liked all the war and everything that was going on. And
in other words, it totally worked on you.
yeah, it did. Oh yeah, totally. It sold me.
So this episode is the first episode where we're not necessarily directly related in the storyline.
No, it did feel way more episodic than what we've gotten.
It was the first episodic-y, side questy kind of feel that we've gotten, which is good because that's.
I liked it a lot. It's very Star Trek.
It felt very Star Trek, which is probably why it's been my favorite episode so far.
Yeah.
And honestly, it kind of broke the mold of the last 4 episodes, which I'm also very happy about. Let's talk about some of what we kind of saw tonight. We got a lot of backstory tonight on certain characters.
Yes.
We got a lot of good stuff on Lorca. We have a lot of good stuff on how the Federation kind of feels about Michael, and we finally got kind of an explanation how she they bent the rules for her and why. And again, making Lorca look even more creepy, depending on the perspective that you have of who Lorca is.
There's a theory about Lorca. Have you read that?
I have not read what is the
mirror universe theory.
Explain.
So they have confirmed that there's going to be at least one episode this season that will take place in the mirror universe that will mention the mirror universe. That was confirmed by the guy who plays Riker. What's his name? Jonathan Frakes?
Jonathan Frakes?
Yeah.
Yes. Frank?
Yes. He has directed a couple episodes this season, and he did confirm that there's going to be an episode that takes place in the mirror universe. And so the current Lorca theory that's floating around is that he's actually bad Lorca.
Huh.
And he's taken the place of good Lorca.
Interesting. But then the question then stands, is bad Lorca going to continue doing bad Lorca things, or is
that's what people want to know.
I mean, if it's rumored that
it's a rumor, no one knows for sure. I would prefer him just to be a son of a bitch. I feel like Mirror Universe is kind of it's a cool throwback, but it also feels kind of cheap. I don't know. It seems like a cop-out.
I wouldn't call it necessarily a cop-out. I think it would add a more three-dimensional depth to what's going on in the storyline.
You think?
Now, what would be really interesting is if you have bad Lorca and good Lorca on the ship.
Ooh.
Yes! But that's not gonna. That's 0% that's gonna happen. Wait. So Jonathan, Jonathan Frakes, he's directing.
Yeah, he's going. I'm not sure which episode he did direct, but he has directed an episode, at least one, of Discovery.
Yeah,
and he's done a few episodes of Orville too.
Really?
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that. So for those who don't know who Jonathan Frakes is, we keep mentioning the name. That's the guy who actually plays Riker in TNG. If those who didn't know,
now you know.
Explained. But yeah, no, that would be kind of interesting. But I want to talk about, the first thing I have to talk about is that Lorca backstory. So we got a little bit, we're kind of in the center-ish of the show here, where main bad guy was kind of explaining, well, not main bad guy, Rainn Wilson,
bad guy,
which we'll get to because we'll get to him in a moment. But Lorca, we finally get a little bit of backstory. He blew up an entire ship of his crew, so they didn't have to suffer the consequences of the planet that they were on, nearby, which was I guess
Klingon.
a major Klingon planet. Yeah. Thoughts?
I feel like it was kind of supposed to make us empathize with Lorca or align with him in some way. And while I think it's that's a heavy decision, and it's a really kind of cool decision to make they're all going to die anyway. Why spare them? Or, let me spare them the torture and the humiliation that would come with a Klingon death. That being said, I still think Lorca's up to something.
I think Lorca's a bitch. And here's the thing, like, if you're the last one of your crew, like, and you're like, I saved them from a horrific death by killing them myself.
Yeah. It's honorable.
Like, dude, even if that were the case, like, you still could have gone down with your ship. Like, how much room did you have in the vessel that you escaped from? Like, why was it just you?
And the other part is right now it's a he said thing, so we don't really know if that's what happened.
And I think that's the actual setup right there.
Yeah.
I think that there's more to his story than just that. They said, here's a little seed. We're gonna plant this here. We're gonna wait a couple seasons and watch it grow. And oh man, I can't wait to see kind of what he actually did. I feel like that's gonna come up. Maybe not even this season. I don't think it will come up this season. Because there's so much going on this season at the moment.
We have a Klingon war. We got Burnham.
We got Burnham. We got a tardigrade, which is
the tardigrade
warped through space, which we're going to talk about in a second.
He may or may not come back as a story arc.
Well, I even said that the tardigrade thing wasn't going to last. Like I knew it was going to be like three episode ring and gone. Like I said, episode 3 that was going to happen. But the where was I going with this? But yeah, no, this won't come up at least maybe in the second half. There's a second half of the season. And maybe that might come on the tail end.
So wait, are we 13 episodes, or are we 13 episodes and then a pause and then 13 more?
No, we're I think we're like 8 and 7.
Yeah.
I think we're
December 12th is the last episode before the winter break, and then the remaining episodes come back.
And if I remember,
I didn't know that.
If I remember right, it's 8 and 7.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, well,
I think it's 9 and 6 now.
9 and 6.
I think so.
So essentially, what I think is going to happen is if this story doesn't pop up in the next season, it's going to pop up at the tail end
and yes,
season 1B. Something major is going to happen, and everything's going to come out of the woodwork like it does. And then what next? Find out next season.
Yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen. But with that being said, we got more. We kind of have there's a lot more kind of involved with his story that I can't wait to see what happens. But he's a bitch, though. He didn't go
he's
down
up to
with
something,
people.
dude. There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. Speaking of more backstory, there was one more thing that we kind of harped on a little bit. I don't know where it went, but let's talk about Rainn Wilson for a moment.
So to answer your question, Jester, that was Dwight. Yes, it was. That
was Dwight from The Office, and wow. I mean, he's a good actor and all, but like...
I was surprised, man.
He said...
sold it.
He said, we're doing Star Trek. We're not doing classic Star Trek? Yes, the fuck we are. Man. He is like half the reason why this is my favorite episode, because he straight up went full like classic Shakespearean-esque acting.
Yeah, over the top but still believable.
Yes, and I was so happy about that. I'm just like, I am now fully focused in this episode. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not on my phone. I'm like,
yeah. He was a lot of fun.
Shit.
He was a lot of fun to watch today.
He was a lot of fun. He was a good bad guy. And that
I wouldn't call him a bad guy. I think he's like a gray area dude.
No, he's very gray. He's a survivalist.
Yeah, he's a survivalist.
I'm a survivalist, just like you.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, he definitely has that. And, you know, I want to like him and I want to hate him. And, he's a good character actor.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's going to come back. He's going to come back.
He has been signed for more than one episode. We know this because of the internet.
Hardcore Finton Mud. Like, that's a mouthful of a name. But yeah, you know, especially when you do the classic 90s thing where it's like, this isn't the last you've seen of me!
Right? Wasn't that so good?
Oh man. I'm finally, like, this is the first character I think I've really attached myself to in the series so far that I'm just like, I want more.
I really like Tilly. But I think outside of Tilly, this is the first character that I'm really just like, oh yeah.
And we'll get to Tully in a moment. But yeah, like this is the first character where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Because I mean, Michael's great, don't get me wrong, and Sue is great, and Michael Chip's character, or Michael Chip? No.
Michael Rapp.
Michael Rapp's
Anthony
character.
Rapp.
Yes.
Anthony Rapp.
Anthony Rapp. Bleh. Anthony Rapp's character, I want to like him, but he makes me hard to like. Like
I really enjoy his character, but
Let me love you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me love you. Like,
Yeah.
don't make me wait till half the episode where I hate you to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I'm feeling about Saru at this point. And I really enjoy that they added that moment with him and Michael at the end of the episode.
Oh, that was
because
great. Like, you took that from me.
Yeah.
I'm like, now, and that makes a lot more
now it makes sense. Because up until that moment, I was thinking that his character was starting to hit a wall, and it was just really one note. So
well, that's kind of how it was with Quark and Ado in Deep Space Nine. Like, it always seemed like a one-note thing.
Okay.
For a while, at least for the first season, and it kind of eventually broke. But I mean that relationship right there is also a very classic Star Trek thing, where you kind of get this like slow burn, and then finally you get it. You know.
Okay, I'll buy that.
What else should we talk about?
Ah.
Let's see. Tardigrades.
Oh yeah.
Now I don't want to run through everything right away, but so the tardigrades. I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't seen it.
Why are you watching this if you haven't seen it?
Yeah,
Spoil away.
tell you what.
Spoiler alert.
We'll wait. Okay, I'm done waiting. But
Yeah.
okay, so the tardigrade got released. Like the roly-poly thing that it turned into, just and then it warped away.
Yeah. Bye.
So my burning question with a tardigrade that just kind of electrified out of existence, as far as I know, why the fuck didn't it do it sooner?
I don't think it was able to.
How?
Because it wasn't. It was on the ship. I don't think it was physically capable of doing that while on the ship.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, if it can move the ship with it, it should be able to move out of the ship. I mean, the thing is nearly indestructible, right? So it could totally crash the hull, no problem. There is no reason why that tardigrade should have been like, zap, deuces, blow the ship apart, everyone dies. Like, that's exactly what should have happened. That's a glaring problem that I'm like, okay, I have to stop and talk about that whole thing.
I buy it.
I don't buy it.
I buy it.
Dude, I don't even buy it a little bit. The tardigrade is... they even said it's literally indestructible. It took down 20 Klingons, no problem. Like, that motherfucker should be like, zap, bust through your ship. We're done here.
Because he's not an asshole. He's a nice monster.
So, he murdered an entire Federation fleet and a bunch of Klingons and gave no fucks.
And self-defense.
No fucks. So this should be self-defense too. He's not just chilling for the free
He
spore
also,
food.
but they did say that he got weaker and weaker every time it jumped. So that's probably another reason why he couldn't do it, because his body was deteriorating.
That does make a little more sense in that regard, but even a tardigrade would be like, okay, I'm gonna at least give it a try.
I'm more curious to see where we go with this tardigrade story now, because even though we've released that tardigrade, we got the DNA sequence.
Well,
we saw that it semi-worked using a human.
Well, what's going to end up happening, they're going to create this serum or this algorithm that creates the stuff needed to basically make the spore drive a reality in some kind of way. And we have this problem where we're now separated from the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we have this spore drive, why don't we see it in Next Generation, everything else? And this is really the perils
of making it a prequel, which I've been against since the very beginning.
Well, it's not like I'm not necessarily against it, but at the same time, you can't call it a prequel. You can call it a separate entity.
Yeah.
Like
another
itself,
story.
But don't call it a prequel, because then
that just creates time problems.
Especially if you don't connect, characters, people, things, stuff together.
It creates timeline issues, which we're seeing right now with this whole spore thing.
Now, there's only one way that this could work, and the entire way this could work is if at the end of this whole series, this season, the Discovery still only has a spore drive and it dies and blows up and no one cares anymore.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, that's what I think they're going to have to do. Somehow the spore drive is going to have to be destroyed. That's the only way to make this work.
Yeah. No, now I know how season 8 or 2 is going to end at this point. Depends on how far they want to take this.
It looks good to get a renewal so far.
Yes. Let's take a look at some comments here. Chaos Area says, I like him, referring to Rainn Wilson. I think he redeemed himself a bit.
No, I think
that's Saru.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he redeemed himself a bit in that episode.
Agreed.
I mean, we now understand his...
He's got more motivation, and we understand it better.
Yeah, like he's got... It's not that he has an issue with her specifically. It's just he hates her for killing his idol, basically.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, well,
He's
actually...
He's got grief he hasn't worked through.
Yeah, and the thing is, I never thought that would be a thing, given his species is very logical. It doesn't seem very sentimental. And
I would say that they're more cautious.
Yes.
I don't necessarily see logic. I
Well,
see
okay, yeah.
extreme caution.
Even that caution, you don't really expect a cautious being like that to really talk sentimentals.
Yeah. You don't get a lot of emotion.
Yeah, and so like when he says, I fucking hate you for killing my idol, it's like, oh.
Ooh. Now it makes sense.
It's resentment. Hey, now we're talking some like real interesting things here about his character that we, that is making him finally a three-dimensional person in this universe.
Yeah.
But character-wise, yeah, we're
Still not my faves.
still waiting on it.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? And then we gotta talk a little bit about Tully.
I love her. I love her so much.
Tilly? Is it
Tilly?
No, it is Tilly. Okay.
It's Tilly, yeah.
So I feel like Tilly feels like a fan in the Star Trek universe
Yes.
that realizes they're
She's
in
in the Star Trek universe. Yes. Yes.
That's how I see her. She's kind of she's a fan in the world, and it's like she's just there for the first
She
time.
is much needed comic relief without it beating you over the head that it's a joke, Like, there's no winking at the camera. She just is funny.
Yeah. I like talking about my feelings. I like
Yes.
my feelings.
I love feeling feelings. Okay, also, she dropped an F-bomb this episode, which was
That was
fantastic.
It's so fucking cool! Like, holy shit. I died. It was...
Tilly has no filter. Yes,
Tilly has no filter. And other than Rainn Wilson, she's probably definitely my favorite in the series so far. And the thing is, when she first started, I was like, I thought she was gonna be pandering, but she's not pandering. She's the break, man.
I loved her. I loved her in that first episode when she, nobody says shh to me. And then also, when she said that she was going to be a captain one day and she had that moment.
She's very quirky, as we have established
Oh, God.
in farther
Here we go with the
episodes.
dad jokes again.
She's so quirky. I love it. And and the thing is, I feel like she's going to be... I'm hoping there's more of her, and I'm hoping that we get...
Yeah.
I do hope that we get more substance out of her. Like, the comedic relief is definitely a thing, but, like, please give us more.
I'm interested to see how her and Michael's relationship grows.
Yes.
I really am.
I am interested in that, but I'm more interested in kind of... I want her to just have a horrible backstory. Like, I want all of her parents to
Her
die.
whole
in like
family died in a fire or something
Klingon
awful.
fire of flames.
Anna
and-
Miles just basically said the same thing. What secrets does she have? Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I'm hoping like one day, like maybe she's on like a Klingon vessel all captured, and she's like, I'm gonna murder every single last one of you. And she's all cute when she does it, and they're like,
Just a cute murder rampage.
and then like she goes on this like murder rampage, and now she's like a named person in the Klingon Empire. Tor. That would be so awesome. I'm hoping maybe like one of the people from Star Trek is watching this and says, that's
a great
not a
idea.
bad idea.
That's a great idea.
I like what they're saying here. So, speaking of Sarah, how do you feel about him?
Okay, Psycho reference.
Lols. How do you feel about Sarah's leadership in this?
I think it was done really well, and I enjoyed Doug Jones's acting in this because, every decision was very measured, and he so wanted to be the best stand-in captain possible. And, he ran the computer, he wanted to have the data analyzed, and he was doing his best to be a really good captain. And so even though, I feel as an audience, we were supposed to feel like we wouldn't have made the same call. That being said, he made all the right calls.
He made all the right calls to a certain extent, but a captain, like a Federation captain, has to realize like risk over action. And the thing is, you see this a lot in TNG. You'll see it in basically any one of them where you have a captain who's literally willing to risk it all, and it's never ever like the right decision. And so like with Saru, I think the best person I can actually relate him to in the Star Trek universe is a flawed Data. Like Data, I've only seen him in the captain's chair like maybe 2 or 3 times, but he was always like this like fucking badass doing it. But at the same time, like Saru had that capability, but he was also flawed in that capability. And so like I'm hoping like I actually want to see him more as captain and
Yeah.
growing as a person.
Arya just said, I think Saru questions his capabilities, and I
A
definitely,
lot.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot, a lot.
100%. And I think it's, in that last scene, we kind of get to learn why, because he felt like he didn't get to learn how. He was robbed of his opportunity to learn how to lead.
Yeah, and then more importantly, between Michael and Saru, like he was he's very sure of himself. He's very confident until he sees and talks to Michael about his decisions, and it's only her that he's feeling like not capable.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting dynamic where it's like I know what the fuck I'm talking about until you show up because I know who you learned from. Like so I have to question myself because you learned from the person that I want to learn from.
Yeah.
Like you know more by default and I hate you for that.
And I
oh
definitely,
my god.
I definitely agree with that comment, Josh. I think he realized how fucking difficult it is to be a captain this episode, you know? And he kind of he made those risky split decisions that he didn't like Michael for and that he questioned Lorca for. But when you're the captain, you have to do that shit.
Yes. So, speaking of Lorca, I want to change gears a little bit because Lorca, he got captured by this Klingon prison vessel, and the issue that I have with this Klingon vessel is that
The rape, because that was my problem
well,
with it.
we're gonna get to that, but like Lorca we see him in this transport ship. We have no idea where he's going. We have no idea
Yeah.
who the guy who just got killed. Who the hell was that? Like
He was a red shirt.
he was as far as we know he was an old red shirt though. I think he might have been more. The thing is they never actually explained where the fuck he was going. Like and why
Well, he was definitely doing something shady because he just had the conversation, you know, that they had to stop using the spore drive. And he basically said, well, fuck you, I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, it's one of those things where like him and some random dude who looks like he could be an officer the officer wears. They're nowhere near the Discovery, obviously, or they never would have gotten captured. And see, like, it just happened so fast. And it's like all these things combined. It's like, what was he doing? And I'm hoping that they expand more on kind of why the hell he was out there next episode. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Honestly, it seems like a MacGuffin.
I think it was related to the conversation that he was having with the lady from the Federation. I don't know her name, but
Well,
you can't use the spore drive. Fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. I think that was definitely related.
Well, the thing is, their conversation wasn't necessarily... I mean, it was partially about the spore drive, but it was also about Michael.
Yeah.
Like, Michael came into the conversation talking about how, like, you know, we don't like your... Like, why is the first mutineer on your ship? Like,
Yeah.
which we actually got to learn kind of how that loophole came about. We thought that maybe he talked to Federation about
Nope.
it.
You can conscript anybody you want to during war.
You can conscript anyone you want during war. And that's such an interesting thing to pick up on because it's like
Yeah.
it's one thing to go, oh well, you know, we the Federation saw your file, you know, you obviously put to good use, but no, he like unilaterally said, you guys, I'm
Yeah,
taking
it's a
her.
very interesting loophole.
So I mean, now I find her even more valuable as an asset on the Discovery. Like why is he unilaterally going against the Federation just to pick her up? Like
Because she's, at the end of the day, she was a mutineer. That being said, she was also a first officer and a damn good one. So you would be reticent as a captain to have this mutineer on your ship who was a first officer, was a damn good one, had really good reasons for why she mutinied.
Yes, and all those things are totally correct at first glance. But I think there's more. I still think there's even more behind it. Like, you don't like to pick up a mutineer just out of nowhere unilaterally.
But it wasn't the way that people are describing mutineer and what you think of when you hear the word mutineer versus what she actually did are completely different. You know, it's not like she really just said, hey, fuck you, I'm going to kill the captain, which is what most of us think when we hear mutiny. She had a damn good reason to do what she did.
Well, no, she's definitely a gray area, which is why we as an audience can sympathize, and maybe he can sympathize as well. But I want more.
I think you're overanalyzing, dude.
I might be overanalyzing. That is very, very possible. Okay, now I gotta talk about the big one. Rainn Wilson. I do. I gotta go back to him.
Yes, yeah. We're going to talk about the ship now.
Which ship? Oh, yes.
Yeah, the prison ship.
So we're talking about we're on the prison ship now. First off, cool ship. I
Yeah,
love the design.
looked good.
Bird of Prey's, always a classic. I want to talk about the three people in this room. It felt very... That's something like that's an actor's scene right
Oh, yeah, because it gets you chewing to it.
there. Yeah, the thing is, it felt greatly paced. Like you learned a lot as an audience member of like, because we don't really get to spend a lot of time with Lorca until right now.
Yeah.
Like we've seen him in his like regality. We've seen him kind of doing sketchy fucker dude stuff. It's like the first time we actually get to see him in a vulnerable light, in a humanistic light, and in such a way that brings him kind of out of his spot and down to earth. I think that's really cool. And Rainn Wilson did such a great job of just reeling in that character and like just like analyzing everything and really getting into basically the core philosophy of Star Trek, which is that dialogue of the human condition. Ooh, oh, so good.
There were such good moments of acting with him in this episode. He just found all the right beats.
Yeah, which is great because I'm not entirely a Rainn Wilson fan. I'm not. I think the only thing I've ever watched him in is The Last Mimsy, which.
Who has seen that movie besides you?
It was a long time ago.
Galaxy Quest.
He was in Galaxy Quest.
And The Office.
Oh, well, I've never watched The Office. Boom.
Oh, well then.
I don't.
There you go.
I don't like the way it's shot.
Well, there you go.
Fight me. Anyway, but yeah, no, he's such a great actor, and I feel like him becoming a recurring character on the show, it's gonna bring kind of what was lacking in the first couple episodes, which is that sense of comedy and that sense of
I think this episode really brought together a lot of things that I felt have been lacking, including the comedy and the episodic nature.
Right. Klingons. So we have a Klingon rapist on this
not
on this
a fan.
episode. And it's like, wow.
She's going to be back, though, I think, in later episodes, because she speaks English, which is, like, kind of a big deal.
I feel like she's going to play a very essential component in...
Yeah.
Kind of as a middleman, I think, is what's going to end up happening.
And they didn't kill her. Like, they blatantly had every opportunity to vaporize her, and they didn't take it.
She got the Scarface thing going on, And so now we have... And here's the thing. So she favors Federation guys, as far as we know. So interspecies erotica has been committed.
There's going to be some fan fiction about this.
Rule 34 is abound. My thoughts on the matter is she might actually end up being a voice of reason for the Klingon Empire. Here's the thing: we don't entirely know how the Klingon and Federation kind of got together in a relatively steady truce that we've seen in the Federation. She could be the person who's been like, "Yeah, I had sex with one of these things.
Oh!
Can we talk about this?"
God!
It's very. And the thing is, we actually saw that in Next Generation too, where we had the interspecies erotica moments with Worf, and it's like. Talking about it makes like it's an interesting thing to think of. I'm not entirely surprised about it. The Klingons, I mean, they're a very violent race, and so rape seems. I wouldn't put it
spoils of war, right?
Yeah, I would not put it above that.
I honestly want to say spoils of war, but like you guys know what I mean, right?
The thing is, it's the I hate to say this, but that unconsensual. Intimacy might end up being the actual bridge to connect the empires together. That would be hilarious.
Oh God!
I mean, not hilarious. Rape's not funny, but
no.
but I mean, if they use that, like,
it would be an interesting way to bridge that gap.
Yes, it is an interesting way to bridge that gap. But yeah, we'll definitely see more of those two characters specifically.
I mean, they blatantly didn't kill her, and the fact that they kept closing in on her face that had the scar business going on.
And then we have this new lieutenant, just kind of out of nowhere.
Does anyone know his name? I couldn't.
It was Lieutenant something.
Yeah.
He that's all I know. He was Lieutenant
Tyler.
Ash Tyler.
Ash Tyler. Okay, Lieutenant Tyler. Well, there you go.
Lieutenant Tyler. He's at the Battle of something that starts with B.
I wrote it down. Brurin.
And he's been on this thing for 7 months. We know literally nothing about him except that he's very fast acting when he needs to be.
Yeah. But like, the bug was definitely a bug. I so saw that coming.
The bug was a bug. Oh,
yeah, Rainn Wilson's pet. I totally saw that coming.
I did not. I didn't see the bug being the issue. I knew he was gonna be the the traitor, if you will. But I didn't see the bug being part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. The bug was definitely a bug.
Jared Benson says, it feels like Lorca is a Caesar and the Federation is Rome. When Klingons are the gates, they turn to one captain to defend him. It's going to be hard to take away his power. Maybe. The thing is, I think Lorca's the necessary evil.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a point in time where, like, we know you're a fucking asshole. But then, like, they know that they kind of need him.
They're going to need him to
survive.
Yes.
And the thing is, he's got... we've already...
Lorca's very honest about the cruelty of war,
Yeah.
you know, and I think a lot of the other characters kind of naive, or they think that it's not going to play out that way, or it won't be that bad, and Lorca's kind of like, it's going to be even worse than you think it is.
Well, the thing is, in the beginning, we've seen him that, I can destroy people in time of war this way. We can already see he's kind of like abusing his power.
Yeah, he's a
in such
wartime
way.
captain.
Yeah, he's not. They kind of treat him with a certain amount of something because he is a wartime captain. He's not the Jean-Luc Picard. He's not. He's not any captain we've seen before. He's this weird, darker character, and that's going to play a lot in like how the Federation treats their work, the crew, and everything else. And so far, he's distinguished himself from everyone else as far as like he's a very isolating and isolated character. Like when we first started watching, every character seemed like the same. Like everyone was pissed off all the time and everything else.
Angry.
But now we see like Michael with a sense of empathy. We see Suru with a sense of what's the word I'm looking for?
Grief.
Resentment. Grief and resentment. Like we see Tully as his like light of shining
Joy
in like
determination.
Yeah, and finally people are. I'm starting to see character development, like real character development. Like I can see who my favorites are and who aren't.
Talking about Tilly and Michael again, funny. It was I thought it was very interesting how Michael was feeling stressed and she didn't have like being raised by Vulcans. She didn't have the word for that. She didn't know what that feeling was.
Right, and the thing is, like Michael's turning into, like we finally kind of see her starting to soften up a little bit. I feel like, and I like it, but I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Like I know that seems kind of contradictory, but like
it depends on where they go with it.
Right. Well, the thing is, I can still see her beating herself up over a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for that to pass to see kind of... I want to know where she goes next, basically.
Yeah.
Because right now, I've seen 5 episodes of her doing the same shit. And... no, I'm bored. I'm bored with it. I will admit,
You know what? That's how I felt with Saru when this episode started. That's how I really felt about Saru when this episode started. I was totally bored with it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm bored with her character, and I know, and again, I want to like her character, I really do. But so far, everyone else has branched out into... like like their things, and she's still waiting for it. And like even Anthony Tripp's character, who I fucking can't stand at the moment, like
Anthony Rapp.
Yeah. Who did I say?
Anthony Chip. That's not a person.
I didn't say Anthony Chip.
Yes, you did.
Whatever. Anthony Rapp. Like I can't stand him, but like at the end of the day, like he'll do anything for his work, but he'll do it within the regulations of the Prime Directive.
Speaking of Anthony Rapp, I thought that moment between him and the Doctor at the very end of the episode was a very sweet moment. I was very happy to have some gay representation on screen.
Yes.
But also, why do we not have better technology to clean our teeth in the future? What the fuck is this?
I mean, it's funny because even I have like an electric toothbrush, and there's not even electric. They're just
yeah, right. They weren't even like, what was that?
Like I'm looking for like laser beams, just something of the nature.
Right, that far in the future, and we still got toothbrushes. This is ridiculous.
Well, okay, to be fair, like the toothbrush was invented in like 500 BC, and we're still like using the goddamn toothbrush.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Like, I mean, like. Here's the thing, like the simplest of tools are usually the ones that last the longest. We're still using hammers and nails and
the wheel.
And the wheel.
And
like,
fire.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh goodness. So
hey Ryan, we see you.
Let's see you, my bro. I want to call call a brief attention to something that Saru said. There's 134 lives on the ship.
Oh yeah, these numbers are not adding up, dude.
Like, it doesn't really add up at all, because this is a class D ship, right?
Yeah.
So we have this Class D Galaxy ship. It's the biggest one they have in the fleet. And if you remember Star Trek TNG, you have 1,500 people. Here it's basically 1/15 almost of, or 10% of what we saw later on. And I'm like, that's a lot of that's a little people for a lot of ship.
That's not even the full staff at like a larger Apple store.
Dude, and the thing is, maybe it's because it's a science vessel that makes it small. But here's the thing, it actually kind of makes sense. Do you remember how I was saying like the spinny wheels of death on the actual Discovery, how they spin?
Yeah.
You can't hold people there. If you're gonna spin, people are gonna die. Things are gonna get thrown against the wall. So what if they have a reduced amount of crew to make the actual spinning apparatus a thing on the ship?
I don't know. I will say that there's something going on with just the math that feels funky to me because
it is funky. I'm
you're trying to justify
I'm trying to try.
But then they said that 438 people died on Lorca's ship that he blew up on purpose, and then 8,000 people died in the very first episode with Michael and the Klingon thing. Like what? These numbers, they're just pulling them out of their asses, dude.
The numbers are weird at this point. And the thing is, numbers are actually surprisingly important in every... Like,
it's world building.
Well, it's world building, but it's really important in the sense of every, like, Star Trek thing. Like, you have, I think it was, it might have been First Contact or Generations. Like, you see the new Enterprise coming out of the dock, and it tells you how many children are on board, how many people are on board. Like, I know these numbers seem arbitrary, but it fucking matters.
It does matter because
it does matter.
It messes with your sense of the world and what's going on.
Exactly. And the thing is, 1,500 people on the Enterprise. There's, I think in the Generations one, they added another 700 civilians, if I remember correct, something of that nature. And the thing is, when I have to mess with the numbers, I have to ask, why is this a thing?
Yeah.
And I know, like, maybe the general audience doesn't give a shit. 149, 8,000 died here.
I think it just takes you out of it, though.
It does. Like, and the thing is, let's say we wanted to take this. Let's round up to 150 for brevity's sake. You have 8,000 people who died in this battle. Like, if
each ship had 150 on them, how many fucking ships was that?
And that's the biggest ship you got too. That's not counting the little ships that might have been in that battle too. So like you would have to lose. Let's see, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. That's over 500 ships in the first 2 episodes that just pew, 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 done. Which we didn't see no goddamn 500 ships. There was like maybe 16.
Impossible.
Maybe 16 ships. So like now I'm dealing with a continuity problem that no one's addressing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys feel about numbers. I didn't mean to go into all that, but it's
annoying. I do want to backtrack again though and go back to Anthony Rapp really quickly.
Yes.
What did you think about him injecting himself with a tardigrade DNA?
So, in real life, people have done such things.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually a story in real life where this crazy Russian doctor, because they're all crazy Russian doctors, he found this bacteria that has lived for hundreds of thousands of years.
Oh, God.
So, guess what happens next?
This can't go where you're saying it's going to go.
He takes the bacteria and he injects it into himself, and now he believes he's going to live forever, or to an extended length of time.
I'm going to throw up.
So it's not exactly unheard of, and people do experiment on themselves all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly surprised he would go to such lengths, especially if he believes in his work. Here's the thing, though. He's going to have all sorts of crazy shit happen to him now.
Oh, yeah. I think there are definitely going to be ramifications to this.
Well, the thing is that this tardigrade DNA, like, I feel like he's going to be kind of like this... I'm like in one with the universe and I can see all things.
Right.
Like,
and then,
he's gonna turn into this like weird spacey soothsayer.
And there was that moment at the end of the episode where the camera was focused on him and the music got really fucking weird and then nothing
really
happened.
Creepy.
It got real creepy real quick.
Well, maybe we'll get like another kind of. I mean, we get this like weird after effect. You like boom, boom, boom. Like
It was like horror music. Like it was very much an important musical cue.
It's a very important musical cue. I feel like we're gonna, now that the tardigrade thing is done, we need to replace it with another mini arc, and I think this mini arc is kind of what's inside of him now.
Yeah, the Fly. Yes, just like the
Well,
fly.
here's my thought.
Huh.
If everything's connected,
Okay.
these tardigrades, maybe they're a hive mind. And so now that he's injected himself with his DNA, he's part of that hive mind, kind of like the Borg.
Ooh.
So maybe we have like a Borg-esque, like, I'm connected to the tardigrades, I'm a tardigrade now, I'm a water bear. Like, that might be kind of what we're going to see next episode. We didn't actually get to see
Maybe he goes a little crazy. I don't know.
Do we actually get to see like on the next episode?
No, there wasn't one.
Which is interesting because they've been doing that up until this moment.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to kind of hide what happens like on the next one because a lot of shit's going to go down.
Oh, I'd be really sad if we lost Anthony Rapp, though. I love him.
Oh,
as an actor.
we're not gonna lose him. Like I mean, things are going to happen to him. I do believe.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna lose him.
Yeah, and then the conversation that I was having with his partner, he tried to tell his partner to stop worrying, and his partner said something the reply was very interesting, and I feel like it was very foreshadowy, because he said like, oh, it's hard to love someone, when they're bent on self-destruction or something weird, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it seemed very foreshadowy. The snippet was on After Trek.
Oh, you
Wah, wah, wah.
you know what it is? The tardigrades are connected to the Q. We're gonna get a Q episode, and Anthony
I think you're being real
part
hopeful
of it,
right now.
and it's gonna be amazing.
I think you're being real hopeful right now.
Come on, let me get one Q episode. I want it. Oh, Q would make this whole series for me just perfect.
Nope, you'll get a
10
Mirror
out of-
Universe episode.
10 out of 10 for me if you get one Q episode. But yeah, no, there's definitely something coming up with his character in the next 3 episodes, give or take. Oh, goodness. I want to talk a little bit about the science of things.
Okay.
So this is also the first time I actually kind of bought the science. As Tully said, this is so fucking cool!
Tilly, yeah.
Tully. I hear Tully.
It's Tilly.
Tomato. But needless to say, the science, they don't break it down like they usually do, which I got a little lost in, but when they're talking about like DNA replacement and replication and doing a bunch of things to make this DNA work, that's actual science. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, here we go. Let's do some Bill Nye on this shit. I finally was like interested in the science, and because it felt real, and whether or not it was, I'm not a scientist, whatever, but I was intrigued. What do you think?
Right over my head. I'm not a science person at all. They could have literally lied and said that it used gigawatts, and I'd have been sitting there going, oh, just as good of an episode.
Lols. Okay, so we have this episodic, and we learned a lot about teleporting tardigrades.
Yes, Chaos, tell us.
DNAs.
I want to know.
Klingon rapists. Creepy Lorca. Creepy Trip. What do you think is gonna happen? Well, like like now that we have all this other extraneous information, where do you think we're gonna go next?
They've got to find a way to weave this all into our main storyline, which I, at this point, am assuming that our main storyline is Klingon War, because that's still something that we have to fucking deal with, and it's a big thing. So I'm assuming that somehow all these things, the tardigrade and the spores and all these different things are just going to somehow wrap up in a gigantic Klingon battle around episode 8? We're breaking it 8 episodes before we go on winter break. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So, from this, like I said, this episode feels a little bit isolated. Who do you think's going to kind of connect? Like, how do you think it's going to connect to the main stories?
I mean, somehow they've got to use this spore thing. The spore travel is a big deal. And we have Anthony Rapp, who injected himself with tardigrade DNA. So somehow they're going to use this as a way to help in the Klingon War.
Okay.
How? I don't really know yet. But we've got a lot of dangling threads, I feel like, in the past 5 episodes, and they've got to wrap them all up into the Klingon War somehow.
Yeah, no, like the thing is, for most season 1 anything's like it's like a lot of it's just gonna be setting up. Like
yeah.
Like what they're doing is they're Westworlding us.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's hard to try and say, well, I think this is gonna happen or that's gonna happen. Where we got a lot of dangling threads and they're gonna wrap them up together in like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, and as far as things that I think are gonna happen, I mean, now we have we have Lorca in a sketchy place in a sketchy time getting
Mm-hmm.
captured, which I'm hoping will be addressed. Hoping
Yeah.
for it. We have Lady Klingon Rapist, who can speak English, the first one who can speak English in this series.
Yes.
It would be almost impossible for us not to...
She's got to come back somehow.
Well, here's how she's going to come back. She's going to come back next episode, and I know why. The thing is, she heard Lorca talking about the Discovery turning in and out like a ghost. She now knows something that the rest of the Klingon Empire does not know, which
Okay.
means that she's going to go to
She's got to go talk to Tillicum.
She's going to get...
Tillicum's the whale. What's this guy's name?
Kuzma?
Takuvma, yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, she's going to be like, hey, found out how they're fucking you guys over. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. And then I feel like she's either going to be, I don't know, promoted, or she becomes this, like, figurehead of some sort. I don't entirely know. But she's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. The only person that I'm kind of like, I don't know where they're going to go next is Rainn Wilson. I just want to know how he gets out.
I hope he's just a very interesting character who comes back multiple times and is not really, I don't necessarily say does not contribute to the storyline, but that being said, I want him to be one of those, like...
What
He's
if...
supposed to be a consistent thorn, just like a thorn.
Yeah, that's what I want. I just want him to be a consistent thorn in
He's
people's
gonna be
side. I want him to show up and fuck some...
just
Yeah.
Not all powerful.
Well, here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. He's going to be used as an emissary between the two, like the female rapist Klingons. Like,
Yeah.
You're a human. Go do human things. Give us more information, because he's already shown that he has the ability to double code to turn spy.
Yeah.
Like he has no qualms doing it, and he's not exactly a fan of the Federation. So like, he's going to end up being this
I think he's going to be bounty hunter-esque.
bounty hunter-esque.
Yeah.
Like he is a bounty hunter, or they're bounty hunting him.
No, he is a bounty hunter. Like, I don't necessarily think he will generally be a bounty hunter per se, but I think he's just going to go in and help out and do whatever, helps him. Whether or not it's assisting the Federation or the Klingons, I think he's just going to be fucking with people and doing whatever gets him ahead.
Sure. No,
Which is
and
what I want to see. That's what I hope for.
And like I said, I would love to see how he gets out of the predicament he is now. Like, I want to see if he goes back home to his what was the name of the girl that he was
Stella.
Stella.
Do you
Yes.
guys think Stella is real?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. No,
I mean, he does feel like somebody who's full of shit and would make up a completely big story like that.
I know no one can see me, but I saw Stella as Total Recall Benny. Like, he was
Ah.
like, I got 5 mouths at home to feed.
No. The thing is, I actually do believe Stella is very real. I do believe that the story of how he got there is somewhat real, but Stella is definitely real. How do I know this? Because he's sitting there, like, the moment that they leave him there, like, you just see the first moment of actual desperation, like, I need to get home to her. Like, you don't understand. I promise I'll be back. Like, that was a very real moment. And I do believe Stella is, like, a real person, but I'm not entirely sure to what extent. I'm really interested to see maybe, hopefully, like, a mini arc between that. That'd be kind of cool. Like, maybe he does get out and, like, okay, well, I'm done being in there. Someone take me home, and you finally get to see it. Maybe another offshoot episode.
Maybe.
Let's see. As far as Michael and Saru, I think they're finally gonna, like, bury their shit.
Yeah.
You know?
We're going to be buddies now.
About time, bury that shit. Because again, Michael needs to move. She needs to move.
Yeah, her character needs to progress.
Tilly.
Tilly.
I know. Tilly's gonna be Tilly. I don't like I said, unless she goes on a cute murder rampage, she's just gonna be her. But yeah, I'm like this episode has done so much. This episode has done more for me than, like, the combined last 4 episodes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was loving it as it was, but now I'm like, okay, you guys gave me just enough of old Star Trek to be like, okay, I'm situated, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because if it's not that, it's the Orville. Oh, I said it. Like
we did say before we started watching the episode, if the Orville and Discovery smushed into one show, you'd have a great Star Trek show.
You'd have the perfect Star Trek show if you just mushed them together. But that's,
As it stands, we got 2 Star Trek shows.
I do, but eventually what I want to do is I want to get, like, an After Dark show that talks about, like, the verses between them and how...
Yeah, and how
that's a different thing altogether.
Yes, I agree with that, Chaos. I think Tilly is definitely going to help Michael grow more so than Michael will help Tilly.
Yeah. And then, just real quick, vapor guns. Vapor guns? I mean, it's cool.
That was cool.
It was cool.
But, like, it'll never come back up again.
Klingons and Romulans use pulse energy weapons. So these, like, if you watched TNG, the kill setting vaporized people too.
Well, the thing is, it more closely reminded me of Disruptor level 4s, which were illegal at the time. And that's what it kind of felt like. And if it was pre-banning of Disruptors, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay. But if it wasn't, then like...
Well, because I remember the Disruptor level 4 was only used, I think, maybe once in the entire series, and it was against the Collector. And I remember him just getting zapped and just, like, the best... They had the best visuals at the time, and it just turns him into a skeleton, and he literally disappears, which is kind of what that was close to. I don't remember if Disruptor technology was primarily Klingon, but I did enjoy the kind of like the little throwback that kind of entailed. Jeebers.
Yeah, prequel problems.
Ryan says, love to see an After Dark on this channel. Probably not. Probably not. Is there anything else that you want to kind of touch on as far as...
I really hope they start pulling together some of these dangling threads, because as we were sitting here, I thought about, we've got fed a little bit of Michael and her relationship with Spock's dad, and we have all these little things that we've got peppered in that I feel like we're just not addressing.
Here's the thing. I don't think we're going to be able to address him until season 2. The thing is, again, they're Westworldness. They're setting him up. And then, actually...
The thing is, though, I don't want to say that they're Westworlding us, because Westworld really wrapped season 1. And it really, yes, there's definitely more story for them to tell, and I want to see more story. But if that was all the Westworld we were going to get, I feel like it ended at a really great place. I don't know if the show is going to be able to do the same thing.
Well, here's the thing. We have a split between 9 episodes and 6 or 8 and 7, whatever be the case. I think that... Realistically, like I said, 15 episodes for something like this is a lot. That's a lot for a first season. I think that the first half is going to be kind of like all the setting up, and then that second half will probably end up being the connection.
All the knockdowns? Okay.
Yeah. So, fret not. We are working on it.
Yeah.
Or they are working on it.
Yeah.
I'm not on it.
I agree with that, Chaos. I think they're way more into character development than they are right now, story moving forward.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can't knock them for it because there's already so many characters.
Go back to the episodic
Derp.
It's 9 episodes with ending November 12th, and then the rest will pick up in January.
Oh shit, that's so November 12th?
Okay, cool. So the last episode for Star Trek, as our almighty God and producer Josh has said, is going to be November 12th, which is pretty soon. That's
my mom's birthday.
That's like a month from now. Four episodes.
Yeah. Yes, Ryan, Westworld is a fantastic show.
Absolutely. So we've talked about kind of what we're hoping for, kind of what the drawbacks are, and I'm hoping that at some point in time, because it still feels almost unfinished. It almost it's like 90% there. There's like a 10% that I'm just like still waiting for. And honestly, I think literally that 10% is Michael. I know I keep bringing this back to Michael not moving, but it's so important because she's who we follow the most, kind of, but also, I see what they're trying to do. Next Generation, for example, they followed everybody at some point in time. Like, there was a Worf episode, a Data episode, a this episode. I mean, they kind of do that right now. Like, I would say this is a Lorca episode, for example. The episode prior was more of a Michael episode.
Yeah.
And so, that's cool, but, I'm waiting for the Michael episode that brings her into the character she's going to be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So...
Yes, Michael has definitely softened up.
Michael definitely has softened up a little bit.
She has feelings.
The feels. It's because Telly's just wearing her down. Just wearing her down. I like feeling my feelings. You should too. You should love people more. You should love me more. That's how that feels. I'm gonna force you to love me.
That felt awkward.
I'm gonna force you to love me. Anyway, I think I'm good with this episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
It was a good episode. I'm hoping for more just like this. Make more just like this.
It's too late. They already made them.
God damn it.
They're already done.
Where can we find you?
You can find me online at www.lambertra.com, Lambertraa.
Outstanding. You can find me at Slammy Sammy Lock on the Twitters and the Instagram. You can find me at Samuel Lock on the Book of Faces. You can find me doing this every Sunday with this lady. You can find me on the hashtag Twitch every Monday and Wednesday. This Monday, I'm doing something very special. It's going to be a little longer than usual because we're doing something really cool. If you guys...
What is it?
I can't tell you. You have to find out. But for those who know the games that I play, it involves Battle Royale. That's all I'm telling you. That's all I'm telling you. And then I also do Achievement Unlocked, but we're on brief hiatus for now. When that gets back, we'll be doing that every Tuesday as usual. And then sometimes I sub in for After Dark. Other than that, thank you for watching. Keep following everything that we're doing, whether it's Kamen Riders, whether it's the Riker Maneuver, or anything else that we do here on Pop Culture Renegades. So yeah.
Yeah.